Distinguished members of the Joint Committee on Regulatory Fairness and Reform, I'm Dick Grotton. I'm president of the Maine Restaurant Association, here today to speak to some issues that are of concern to my industry. There are a host of Maine laws that have been passed over the last few years that are substantially duplicative or a conflict with federal law. One of the issues that I would like to raise is the issue of using the Maine legislature over the last several years to accomplish employer-employee relationship issues. It seems easier to go to the Labor Committee and the Maine legislature to deal with an issue there than it is simply to sit down with your employer and deal with it in the workplace. Not every rule applies to every workplace. If employees and employers who deal with issues in the workplace every single day could simply sit down and negotiate resolutions to issues they have in common, we wouldn't need all the legislation, some of which we could discuss today. I would suggest that we repeal the recently enacted Maine menu labeling law as no longer necessary. We now have enacted federal legislation to accomplish the same thing. We don't need two laws. Repeal the Maine Revenue Service's recent application of the use tax to free employee meals. It is historically part of the norm of the restaurant industry to feed our employees on some basis, usually free. When it's free, it shouldn't be taxed for the state of Maine. It currently is. Unemployment compensation experience modification, a term pretty familiar to most Maine employers. This particular niche of experience modification sneaks up on you. It is considered to be successor liability in Maine law. It's a provision which says that if a building, a leased building, used to be a restaurant or a barber shop, and that business goes out of business, and 6 months goes by, and someone else comes along and said, oh gee, a restaurant for lease. Some of the equipment is likely still there. The barber chair is likely still there. If you use the barber chair, if you use a certain amount of that equipment, Maine Department of Labor is likely to consider you a successor employer, especially if you also hire back any of the staff that used to work there, even though there's absolutely no connection between the two companies. You then inherit the experience modification for unemployment of the prior business. That's not fair. Municipalities are permitted to complete their own health inspection program under agreement with the state health inspection program. Auburn is one of the cities that does this. There are 4 in the state. This process must be strengthened to assure competent inspections audited by state authorities. The current system allows communities to operate without the state agreement and encourages duplication of inspection, which benefits no one. Bangor is in that current situation. They keep thinking about state inspection, but currently we pay both the state and the city of Bangor for a health license, and they both inspect. It's silly. We should have a system which respects the federal FDA food code and the Maine food code and preempts municipalities from enacting ordinances for restaurants that are more restrictive than state health inspection rules or the Maine food code. We need uniformity of regulation statewide. Conform Maine to federal wage and hour regarding overtime. Currently, we have 2 overlapping and confusing sets of laws to review to make wage determinations. It is totally unnecessary. Recently enacted and unnecessary Maine overtime rules should be repealed. Conform Maine to federal civil rights laws. Maine has strayed far from federal EEOC rules in their effort enforcement of Maine law, to the bewilderment and exasperation of many Maine businesses. Change the apparent agency mindset regarding unemployment compensation actions. Prior to any unemployment claims are paid to claimants who were justifiably discharged for safety violations, threatening other employees, theft, or other instances instances of blatant disregard of company rules. Others receive unemployment for weeks, only to have the claim later denied. The hundreds of dollars already paid out is long gone. Claimants are often paid unemployment with the employer told, "Don't worry, we're not going to charge your experience notification." Well, whose rate are they going to charge? Someone must pay it, and all the money in the unemployment fund is employer money. Clear, consistent rules, evenly applied all the time. When folks are laid off for lack of work, that's what unemployment is for, and it should be paid, and they're justified in collecting.
Thank